Hey everyone, it's Ken, back with episode 4 of the Law of One series. Today we're diving into Raw's take on the science of demons. If you haven't seen episodes 1 to 3, pause now, especially episode 1 on the 7 densities of consciousness. Without that, this is like jumping into a sci-fi saga mid-plot. Don't worry, I've linked them for you in the description, no problem. Now, we've talked about social memory complexes, which are group consciousnesses where beings merge at higher densities, like a cosmic book club sharing wisdom. In the last episode, we covered angels as positive complexes. Now we're tackling their negative counterparts in a big one, demonic possession. Ra says to become a 4th density negative being, a demon, you need 95% negative polarity, like juggling fire in a windstorm. Ra names 2 who made it. Rasputin, a Russian holy man born in the late 1800s, who dove into dark magic, killing, stealing, and worse, surviving cyanide only to be shot, stabbed, and drowned in the Neva River. Then there's Genghis Khan, a 13th century warlord who conquered 11 million square miles, slaughtering populations, using survivors as human shields, and even killing his brother. Another example was Vlad the Impaler, the 15th century ruler whose brutal tortures earned him the Dracula legend. These folks had hearts colder than a frozen tundra, skipping the green ray chakra, which is love, to chase wisdom and power, using lower chakras for control. You guessed it. Higher density beings read energy signatures. Negative entities, lacking love, radiate orange-red auras and dodge positive ones, as love and light zaps their power, like sunlight scattering shadows. Ra says the negative path stalls in early 6th density. Entropy's too high there. They switch to positive polarity eventually to evolve, as no negative higher selves can exist in the 6th density. The negative path, built on fear and discord, fights the creator's unity, making it a really tough road. Demons form social memory complexes, but they're tyrannical, like cosmic bullies running a fear factory. A 5th and 6th density negative entity recruits lesser ones, enslaving them to spread control. The master gains power. Followers gain wisdom, but face psychic torment if they disobey. Power struggles spark battles, as entropy keeps these groups shaky, often called legion in scriptures, like in Mark 5, where Jesus meets a possessed man named Legion. Ross says they manipulate existing imbalances, anger, fear, depression, like exploiting cracks in a dam. Angels with balanced consciousness are immune. Demons plant tormenting thoughts as anchors, feeding off your attention, like feeding a gremlin after midnight. Many of my spiritual masters have taught me that negative entities like to latch on to people like myself who are more and more going towards the light. They see that and they want it and they crave it, right? They want to stop you on the path. One time I was in session and I was about to merge as a fractal of God, and I could sense my consciousness expanding and about to merge. And then bam, the Zoom session cut off and I wasn't able to. And I've done multiple interviews on different podcasts, spreading the word of awakening and enlightenment. And I'd say 50% of the time, there are unexplained technical difficulties. Some, we had to even scrap the entire interview because it was working the entire time, the audio, but when it went into post-production, the audio was useless. I've had to re-record several podcasts because of this. They do not want the positive light message to get out. They only spread and hate, fear, and anger amongst the masses, right? Now, the higher you go towards positive polarity, it can equate to more entity attachments or more of them wanting to latch onto you and fight you and embody you. Now, why do they want to embody someone? Now, when your fear increases, it's easier for them to get in. It's kind of like this endless loop. The more fear you have, the easier it is for them to get into your system, and yet that causes more fear, right? Now, one way to remove these entities is to send them love. Send them lots and lots of love, okay? Or to protect, there's certain spiritual protection prayers, like the prayer to St. Michael the Archangel, and there's deliverance prayers, which I personally have used and it actually works. You could feel the negative energy releasing up and out of you. Now, we aren't to harbor hateful or fearful feelings towards these negative entities. Again, we are to share love with them because they are part of the one, the all. Even they have some essence of love within them, however minute. Now, if you cannot get rid of them on your own, like I couldn't, I've been possessed 11 times in 2.5 years. One time causing a mental hospital visit because I was in psychosis as it overtook my thoughts. Another time was when an entity, I walked in on a ceremony where they were calling in their master. This group was calling in their master, and their master has passed away, and his negative energy took over me and was making me vomit nonstop. It was wanting me to kill myself, right? And it took a high-level healer to remove it from me. Now, the more powerful the healer, the faster they can get rid of it, like my mentor Barry or Eva, who are in Brahman consciousness and have the ability to take them out within seconds. Now, I've tried exorcisms before during many of these possessions, and they work to an extent, but they're not the highest magnitude of deliverance. The highest magnitude of deliverance comes from high level healers who can instantly remove them. I remember I had one possession that was so intense, all of the lights in the room were changing, and it was speaking through me with these rattling sounds, and I wanted to give into every single vice, smoking, pornography, all of it, right? And several healers of a relatively high magnitude tried to remove it, but they couldn't. I could feel it moving and releasing out of me, but it wasn't until I went to a peak healer who instantly removed it without me even being on the Zoom call. I just texted her and I said, hey, this is really intense. I can't handle this. There's an insane amount of fear. And she texted me the next day after the release had happened. I felt it like release up and out of me through the crown, up and out. And I was completely relieved, back to my normal self. She had done it 7,000 miles away in 3 minutes. She says because there's nothing for them to latch onto her because their system is so clean that when she approaches, they try to latch on and it's like invisible. They just go right through. She just breaks into your energetic body and rips it out. And so these entities like to revisit people as well as anything they can latch onto through this human experience to amplify distortions. But they cannot live in you. As much as they try, they cannot permanently live inside of you. Because eventually they all get released and they can't handle, especially if you're on the love and light path. Now, I saw this in an evangelical church when I was a kid, when an older woman was thrashing and her voice was warped and she needed 4 men to hold her down. The pastors prayed for 8 hours, yelling Bible verses, but anger and fear fed the demon. Ra says love and compassion would have sent it packing instantly. But I don't entirely agree with this, as while that is true, there has to be a higher, like I was trying to do that on my own, but it didn't work, right? Again, it helped relieve some of it, and the power of prayer helped fight them back, but you need a high level healer to remove them. And so negative entities target those dabbling in dark magic, eager to recruit, appearing beautiful to mask their discordant vibe. Not orcs, but more like maleficence allure. My mentor Shannon taught me that this is very interesting, that not all astral beings, because this is where they live, is in the astral, the same with angels, they don't have our best interests in mind. Some try to hijack humans, especially enlightened seekers, to taste Earth's intense life. It's like sneaking into the VIP club of of conscious experience, right? Because Earth is one of the hardest places to incarnate. This is where the most soul growth happens in the entire universe, right? There are literally billions of souls craving this experience to come in here. They've trained on multiple other planets and incarnations and virtual realities just to come here, okay? And negative polarity demons try to latch on to get a glimpse of what Earth life is like, right? They're trying to do soul growth through proxy, and they cannot do this. As Shannon, one of my high-level mentors, tells me, she goes, they need to incarnate here the old-fashioned way, born here, not stealing someone's ride, right? And that is very true. You have to be born here in order to have this experience. You cannot you cannot just hijack somebody permanently and then that gets you the earth experience. You have to live here and be born here, right? And in haunted houses, for example, these are intense events, like intense events, like murders, and like in mental hospitals where entities latch onto you, like they did for me, 11 attachments just from one mental hospital visit, which was removed from a healer, right? Now, like haunted houses or places where really dark things happened, they leave energy bombs in the walls, radiating until cleansed, making them demon magnets. Now, Ra faced this with Carla, right, the channeler, who endured a fifth density negative entity, causing arthritis pains to stop her channeling. Ra advised her again to send love and light and depolarize the entity, which eventually worked, and it forced the entity to leave. And then Don asked, "So I served this negative entity with love and light?" Ra, with a cosmic chuckle, said, "Correct. And your attempts are amusing." Now, your shield against demons, again, is love. You could see them as lost souls, like a friend trapped in the dark cycle, craving fear. Love them as part of yourself, and no darkness can touch you. You have to love them. I know it can be very hard when you're possessed, but when you send love, it really is the greatest defense against them. Because remember, if all things are God, if God is all, even they are the all. And so without darkness, we cannot have light. And so even the darkness is part of this divine game, which requires love. As Ra says, love is the strongest magic in the universe. And his final wisdom was when he said, all is the creator. You cannot not serve the creator. Offer love and light to those not in resonance, wish them well, and serve without paradox. Again, I hope this really helps you understand negative entities, the reasons for trying to attach onto people to gain proxy, soul growth, even though that doesn't work, and how they really feed off of fear and dominance. And so find specific prayers. The St. Michael the Archangel prayer will work very well. But ultimately, there are also protective prayers to set up. Like one mentor of mine had told me to envision a white light above my head to circle around my entire body and to provide this protective shield, and to do that every morning. And I have been doing it every morning, and it has worked, and I haven't been possessed ever since. So, and one last final note, with there was this YouTube video of a woman who was part of a satanic cult, and she would send demons and try to intercept people in their fields to grasp at their love and their light that they want to steal, and they want to hijack. And she said that they couldn't do it, the Satanists couldn't do it, if that person was praying. So prayer offers this shield for you, right? It can lift the demons out with strong enough intent, or it just offers general protection. There are also other protective prayers. I would recommend, there's not one-stop shop prayer, but I would recommend going to a high-level healer and asking them for how they pray and how they set up protective energy around yourself. So anyways, I hope you enjoyed this episode. I hope it explains a little bit more about what these demons are. And join me in the next video where we dive a little bit deeper into some more of the Law of One. It's good to have you guys, and I'll see you in the next one.